At 07:15 hours on June 15, 1944, a German 105mm howitzer battery from the 716th Static Infantry Division opened fire on British positions advancing from Sword Beach near Caen, France. The battery had been in position since dawn. German doctrine was simple: fire 3 to 5 rounds, then immediately relocate before Allied spotters could identify the position. The commander gave the order. Crews loaded, aimed, and fired 3 rounds each, 12 shells arcing toward the British lines 3,000 meters away. The commander then ordered the battery to cease fire and prepare to displace. Crews began their practice drill, unhook the trail spades, secure ammunition, attach the prime movers. But before they could move, American shells arrived. The sound came first, like the air being ripped open, then impact. Multiple directions, no walking barrage, no sequential firing. Every shell landed within 3 seconds. Time on target. The first salvo destroyed 2 howitzers. The second killed the commander and 7 crew members. The third wiped out ammunition stores. In less than 5 minutes from their own last shot, the German battery ceased to exist. This pattern repeated across Normandy in June and July 1944. German units that had survived Poland, France, and Russia were now being destroyed faster than doctrine believed possible. The Americans had solved a problem every army had struggled with for decades: rapidly finding and destroying enemy artillery. For a century, artillery had been the deadliest arm on the battlefield, but effective counter-battery fire required solving 3 problems: locating enemy guns, calculating data for friendly guns, and coordinating mass fire. Before 1944, no army could do all 3 fast enough. Artillery hid behind hills and forests. Locating them required sound ranging, flash spotting, and aerial observation, methods developed in World War I. All worked, but slowly. Tracking a battery often took 15 to 30 minutes, long enough for it to relocate if doctrine was followed. Next came calculations: range, azimuth, elevation, powder charge, air temperature, wind, barrel wear, all had to be solved individually for each gun. Even trained crews needed 5 to 8 minutes to prepare firing data. Finally came coordination. Massing fire from multiple batteries required identical maps, perfect survey data, and clear communication. Each battery calculated its own firing solution, then fired when ready. A single mass strike often took 30 to 40 minutes from spotting to impact. Germans countered with shoot and scoot tactics. Fire a few rounds, move immediately. By the time enemy shells landed, the position was empty. America changed the equation. By June 1944, American artillery could deliver massed counter-battery fire within 6 to 9 minutes of target identification, faster than German batteries could displace. And the transformation had begun 15 years earlier in a classroom in Oklahoma. In 1930, at the Field Artillery School at Fort Sill, Major Carlos Brewer faced a doctrinal bottleneck. Traditional methods were too slow. Brewer's solution was revolutionary: the Fire Direction Center. Instead of every battery computing its own data, calculations were centralized. One team handled the math for all subordinate batteries and sent out synchronized firing commands. In 1931, the first demonstration successfully coordinated 24 guns firing together. The U.S. Army adopted the system. But to make it work in real combat, they needed tools and training. Fort Sill developed graphical firing tables, chartboards containing pre-computed solutions for every range, temperature, and wind condition. Instead of calculation, FDC crews simply drew a line from battery to target on the map, read the firing data instantly, and transmitted it. What once took minutes now took seconds. Communication was the second pillar. Dedicated artillery radios allowed observers, FDCs, and batteries to stay in direct contact. By 1941, every artillery battalion had multiple radio networks designed specifically for fire control. The third pillar was training.
thousands of specialists trained in map reading, data interpretation, and rapid coordination. The fourth and most devastating innovation was time on target. Instead of shells arriving over minutes, every battery calculated the time of flight to target. Then the FDC provided a firing countdown. Batteries fired at different moments, but all shells landed simultaneously, creating shock, paralysis, and no warning. The Americans first used this at Guadalcanal in 1943. By Normandy, it became standard across divisions, corps, and even armies. But rapid firing meant nothing without rapid locating. That required a second system, technical target acquisition. Sound-ranging microphones triangulated muzzle blasts in 3 to 5 minutes. Flash spotting posts plotted bearings. Aerial observers in Piper Cub L-4 aircraft identified flashes and smoke from above. By 1944, radar, specifically the SCR-584, could track shells mid-air and trace their trajectory back to the firing gun within 90 seconds. Each method had limits, but together they created overlapping coverage, and unlike German systems, all methods fed directly into the FDC chain. The moment a German battery fired, its position was sent to an FDC, firing data computed, guns assigned, and shells dispatched. The entire kill chain required less time than a German crew needed to limber up a howitzer. In Italy in 1944, a single American pilot called 5 corps-level missions in 1 hour, each engaging separate targets with dozens of guns. Normandy's terrain made the system even deadlier. The front was compact, Allied air superiority constant, and American artillery abundant. A U.S. Corps held 8 to 12 general support battalions, plus division artillery. Tens of thousands of rounds ready. The 716th Static Infantry Division, defending much of the beach sector, suffered heavily from naval gunfire and rapid American counter-battery fire. The 352nd Infantry Division, defending Saint-Lô and Carentan, reported American fire arriving too fast for standard displacement procedures. Rommel warned Berlin that Allied material superiority, especially artillery, made German defenses untenable. The 3rd Parachute Division arrived full strength on June 10th. Within weeks, its artillery was shattered by counter-battery fire. During the fight for Hill 192, American units fired up to 20 time-on-target missions per night. Prisoners repeatedly remarked on the crushing accuracy and volume. Operation Epsom showed the same pattern. German counterattacks by the 1st SS Panzer Division were delayed and disrupted as artillery and RAF Typhoons hammered assembly areas before attacks could even begin. By late July, during Operation Cobra, American breakout reports described German artillery as light to negligible. The Germans had guns, but could not fire them. At Cherbourg, Allied naval gunfire acted as floating artillery. German reports called it flexible, fast, and destructive. On Okinawa in 1945, Japanese gunners, who had studied German failures, used extreme shoot-and-scoot, abandoning guns after firing 2 rounds. American shells still arrived in 9 minutes. Japanese crews survived by leaving positions empty, but could not stop American suppression fire. The U.S. artillery fired over 3 million rounds in 82 days, more than some nations fired in the entire war. American counter-battery fire became the most feared arm of the U.S. military. Patton himself said the war was won largely by artillery. Modern militaries around the world still use the same Fort Sill principles: centralized fire control, rapid data computation, synchronized massed fires, and layered target acquisition. Time on target remains standard doctrine. Counter-battery radar still follows the same principles pioneered in 1944. The men behind these innovations, Brewer, the FDC crews, map officers, radio operators, and Piper Cub observers, are hardly remembered, yet their work reshaped modern warfare. This channel shares forgotten World War II stories of innovation, sacrifice, and systems that changed history. If you found this valuable, like the video, subscribe for more, and comment where you're watching from. Thank you for keeping history alive.